1 2 1 2. Hey, welcome to
Hey.
Beacon of Speech. Hey, Ted Coley, how you doing today?
All right, Fred, how are you?
Oh, I'm spectacular.
I can tell.
Today we are at the illustrious rock and roll break room studios, right?
Which one do you like better?
Oh, I like doing it in a conference room better.
Really?
But when we're in the rock and roll break room, it's more homey.
Yeah, it is.
First of all, let me start with the beginning. We'll go really fast. Blah, 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 blah. We're Beacon of Speech, number 14, First Amendment, blah, blah. PC Madness, pure evil, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I skipped right through the intro today because you guys are making fun of me. What happened is we were at work, and we had a chili cook-off, and everybody just had big bowls of chili, right? And Joe was making fun of me the way I do the intro. So I chopped the intro out today to spite Joe. So I think I'm gonna make him read the intro when he gets here. So did you like the chili?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was very good
It
chili.
was very good. Hopefully it won't backfire on me.
Yeah, literally it won't. Hopefully it doesn't backfire. That's Ted Coley. I'm Fred Hunt. This is Beacon of Speech, episode number 14. Ted, is there anything on your mind that you want to start with today? Look, usually I have a whole table full of materials, but because I was a fat chili eater, I got literally like 3 things on the table today.
Well, one thing, I want your prediction
Oh no.
right now,
Ah.
and this is going to be a quick turnaround because we're going to find out by tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how closely you're following this, but there is a Republican debate tonight.
Yeah, that was one of the 3 things I had on the table.
Okay, that was, and you know the controversy about Donald Trump
Yeah.
saying he will not appear, and there's people saying, "Oh, I think in the end he will." What's your prediction? Will he be there or will he not be there?
Okay, let's write this down because we'll make it a twofer. We'll make it two predictions because I want to know what the Iowa primary. So what we'll do is we'll have it for next week. Okay, so one prediction is the Iowa primary because what is that? Next Monday or Tuesday?
I think it's Monday.
Okay, so one prediction will be Iowa primary, and then we'll put Fred, Ted, Joe, and then since Joe's not here yet, we will do the debate tonight. I predict that Donald Trump loves himself so much, Trump will not be at the debate. Not at debate, says Fred. Now, what do you predict, Ted Coley?
I predict the same thing.
Okay. Same, Ted. Now,
I predict he will not be there. Now, I've listened to 2 talk show hosts who predict the opposite,
okay.
saying, Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage both think in the end he will be there.
Right. Now, what happened is I did a movie, and we talk about it almost every webcast. Did a movie called Blasphemers the Movie, and I kind of promoted it on Facebook, but I probably didn't do enough to promote it. One of the articles I wrote on Blasphemers the Movie, the Facebook page, was why you should not vote for Donald Trump. And the reason being is because he was the owner of the New Jersey Generals of the old USFL, and it wasn't about the Generals. It wasn't about the USFL. Everything was all about Donald Trump getting into the NFL and taking over the world.
Okay, you wrote that, it was a while ago, right?
Yeah, like a year ago.
Okay.
Like, even before he announced, like when he was teasing the idea. And I'm like, you can't vote for Trump. That's not real. And every day, it gets more and more real, and it boggles my mind more and more because the guy is like a megalomaniac.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, in my mind, and I'm going to throw it back at you in a second, in my mind, he really does have a beef with Fox. Okay? I don't know why, but he does. Okay? I don't think that's manufactured. I honestly think that Donald Trump is going back to the old days of the USFL, and he's like, oh, well, you know what? If I won't be in the debate, I'll go on another station, and my presence will cause the ratings to beat out the Fox debate. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he says, doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter what anybody says. If he gets a higher rating than the Fox debate, he wins.
Yeah.
and that's all that matters. to
Yeah,
him.
that's the most important thing to him.
It doesn't matter the content. It doesn't matter if you drag down the country. You winning in the ratings. Say he get, and I'm just throwing numbers out. Say Trump gets a 10 share, but the Republican debate gets a 7 share. He comes out the next day. Well, I won. I won the debate.
Well, it's like I told you the other day. I saw somebody driving a Mercedes SUV with the license plates that said "Win the Day."
Right.
And it's like that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you win it. It doesn't matter what you do to get what you want, as long as you win.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why now, again, now let's flip the coin. Let's say that some people are sick of Trump, like me, okay, and they're like, we're going to turn on the Republican debate, and the Republican debate gets a 12, and the Trump gets a 10. Well, it's just like The Apprentice. Well, I only had one day to throw it together. The Republicans have had this debate scheduled on Fox for 4 months, and then he's pleading his case like he's in the boardroom why he shouldn't get fired. I mean, that's the mentality of it. It's like you win, he's the winner. You lose, you get the excuses.
now you don't have a problem with me mentioning other talk show hosts.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
You could,
Because Michael Savage said, and I don't know how he's going to pull this off.
Right.
He thinks Trump is going to end up on both things.
I don't know how he's going to do that. But you know what? Maybe he will. Maybe Michael Savage is, and you can name whoever you want. I don't mind because at least you have a reference point. Some people don't want to talk about where they heard things from. I like to hear where people hear it from, and then you say this is why I think Michael Savage is right, or why I think he's wrong, or why I think he's a maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I don't mind that at all. But Donald Trump, say he shows up at both, right? I won because I got one had a 10 share, one had a 12 share. That means Donald Trump had a 22 share.
Yeah.
I won. So no matter what way you spin it, he's like, I won. Well, and I keep hearing, and I want to say it's on the Glenn Beck show, okay? They keep talking about crony capitalism.
Yeah.
And they said that's basically what's in Russia, and if we elect Trump, that's what's going to be here. A bastardized version of capitalism. The crony capitalism. Whoever wins, wins, and screw the rest of you.
Yeah.
And so I kind of agree with that. And that's what do you want to elect a Republican, a Democrat, or crony capitalist? I really don't think, but, and again, let's use Glenn Beck as the example. Glenn Beck's a conservative, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I think you should vote for Cruz, right?
I mean, does anybody complain more about Trump than Glenn Beck?
I don't think anybody does. I don't even think I complain that much about Trump. But that's the whole thing, people. The whole thing with Trump is he's a carnival barker. Oh, that's my wife's Fitbit. That was in the microphone thing, so I don't want to lose that. But that's my wife's Fitbit. That's it. Yeah. But he's a carnival barker. He's Barnum and Bailey. He's Bill Veeck. Sucker born every minute. All the cliches that you hear. That's all it is. I'm like, I don't understand how people can take Trump seriously. You know what I mean? And a generation ago, me and you remember Ross Perot.
Yeah.
And they used to say, how can you take Ross Perot seriously? And they kept saying it, how can you take Ross Perot? And then he went up in the race, up and up, his percentages went up, and then he's like, it reminds me of when the aliens tried to abduct my daughter. And then you're like, what?
I think that he got scared because he was winning.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of just backed off because I don't think he wanted to win.
I think he started to flake out.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, I might actually
Yeah.
win. So whether and now this is where me and you could debate, did he flake out or did he back off? You know what I mean? I think he flaked out. But if you think he backed off, that's a legitimate take. And me and you, all this week, we've had a personal thing at work where business decision, personal decisions, real, you know what I mean? I'll listen to he backed off. I think he flaked out, but you might be right. I might be right. When it comes to Ross Perot.
Did he, because it's been such a long time, did he actually drop out of the race for a little while and then came back in?
Yes, because,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
because he basically said, I'm dropping out of the race because of the aliens. And
See, I didn't hear that. I just remember he dropped out for a little while.
there was a conspiracy against his family, and then he dropped out. And then when he was out, he said, well, I didn't even mention the
Well,
aliens
the
came up.
aliens had a conspiracy against him? Or?
Yeah, it's something that had to do with the aliens. His numbers like dropped down to like 2%, and then he's like, "I'm back, baby, I'm back." And then his numbers went from 2 to 3%. I mean, it was too late. The damage was done. So, and again, I know I'm playing fast and loose with the facts, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
He was going up, and then he plunged down, and he popped back up, and then he had trouble getting back into the grind of it all. So.
Yeah.
So how much chili do you think Joe is eating right now? You
I
think
don't
he's
know.
having another bowl?
I think what was the last thing he said? 5 bowls?
Yeah.
And counting?
Now, in his
So-
defense, I had fish, or else I would have had 3 bowls. I only had 1 bowl.
Where'd you have fish?
Oh, I just got on my way back. Because I wanted to eat before we did the webcast, so I grabbed Long John Silver. So I just
Oh.
grabbed 2 pieces of fish. So I had fish and chili. So I'm sure my stomach will be happy.
Yeah, that'll
that
that'll
goes
work out
great.
well. That'll be a cage match in your stomach.
Yeah, that's good times. So first part is the debate. I say Trump will not be at the Republican debate, and you agree. So that's prediction 1.
Yeah, sorry, that's not a good way to do,
Oh no.
predictions, but that's what I thought, and watch, we'll probably both be wrong.
Well, that's the whole thing, and then we can say, why didn't we see that? Now, the other prediction I wanted was, you had that one for me, but I had this one for you. Who do you think's going to win the Iowa primary? And I'll start while you're thinking.
Okay.
I don't care if Trump, what he said he could shoot somebody. He said he
See,
could
I
shoot-
didn't hear him say that.
Yeah.
I've heard people talking about that, so I don't know what his
Well-
exact words were.
whether he wants corn subsidies, whether he wants to shoot somebody, whether he's a real conservative, whether Glenn Beck, tries to erase his name off the ballot. No matter what happens, my prediction, you ready? Trump by 30%. So
Ooh, wow.
say Trump gets 40, the next highest guy will be like, say, Cruz at 10. Okay?
Wow.
I think Trump by 30. I think he is going to pulverize in Iowa. I think it's going to be a bloodbath because I honestly think a lot of people are embarrassed to say they're for Trump. And when they get in that ballot box, when they're alone in the ballot box, they're like, well, you know what? I kind of like The Apprentice. And they're going to click Trump. And no offense to the people in Iowa, there's a lot of places like that.
Yeah. Wow. And you're waiting for my prediction, right?
Yes. What do you think your prediction is for Iowa? Who do you think is going to win?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to go against my gut, and I'm going to say Cruz. I'm going to say
Cruz.
Cruz by 5%.
Cruz by 5. Now
Even though my gut tells me Trump,
Uh-huh.
but I'm going to say Cruz.
Well, that's the thing. I keep hearing that Trump's doing good in the polls, but every single day, like in CNN, like on Monday, Cruz is a jerk, right? And then there's a video of him from Harvard saying, "I'm going to be president one day," right? And then on Tuesday, Daily Beast, why Cruz is a jerk, right? And then on Wednesday, right, I go on Time Magazine, why Cruz is dangerous. I mean, it's literally every single day I'm reading about how, and I don't know, you would think that would galvanize people who believe in conservatism to rally around Cruz, but I think it's scaring people.
Well, see, I'm kind of thrown off by, I think the last 2 Republican winners of Iowa
Mhm.
were in 2012 Santorum and in
Oh.
2008 Huckabee.
Mhm.
So that tells me, at least from those 2, people lean at least maybe kind of religious.
Right.
So I think that would kind of rule Trump out, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't know about Cruz. Is he a religious guy or?
Yeah, but he's more. I'm not saying he's not religious. I'm just saying that. Oh crap! See, I hit a button on the thing. I want to make sure I didn't hit the wrong button. He's religious, but he's not as religious as Santorum or Huckabee.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, who would be that's running now? Rubio or
No. Who's running now? Well, it's definitely not.
Huckabee's there again. So, but he's like at 1%.
Yeah, I think he's lost too much traction. See, my whole thing
And
is
Santorum is still there too, but he's at 1%.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the whole thing of all. Let me phrase it this way: of all the people who are at 5% or over, okay, I think that Cruz is the most religious. Okay, but it goes back to, well, how religious are you because you went to an Ivy League school, blah blah blah. Well, I don't understand what going to Ivy League school has to do with being religious, so. But again, with Ted Cruz, my whole thing is he might be dangerous, he might be a psycho, whatever label they throw on him. I don't have the experience of the USFL where I think that Cruz is all about Cruz. Cruz has a set of ideas that he believes in, and me and you can argue whether those ideas are right. You know what I mean? I don't get the impression that Cruz looks in the mirror in the morning and points to himself and say, "I love Ted Cruz." I think Ted Cruz is like, he's a big nerd. I love the Constitution. I love conservatism, blah, blah, blah.
now, by any chance, did you watch Saturday Night Live?
No, but I
Did you
saw
see a
it
clip
after
of
the fact.
The clip of
Yeah, I saw the clip after the fact. So
Tina Fey is amazing.
she is.
I mean, honest to God, it's hard to tell, at least from that clip, the difference between her and Sarah Palin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, God.
Yeah, she's on top of her game. Number one, she's on top of her game on Saturday Night Live. But what really amazed me is when, one of the things about Beacon of Speech, blah, 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 corporations, suck the life out of you, right? If you go back and watch 30 Rock, about the year, season 3, season 4, 30 Rock was the best written show on TV, right? Nobody was watching it. And Tina Fey was all over that show. And I mean, to me, she's a genius, right? But they weren't getting ratings, and NBC was like, well, this is the old Cosby network, and, they didn't do 30 Rock any favors.
You don't want to sully the Cosby name.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, things are a little different now. Hey, Joe, did you have another bowl of chili?
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, in 40 years, they're going to be talking about Tina Fey like we talk about Lucille Ball now.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, she is pure genius.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, you don't like Tina Fey?
Really? No.
See, that's why we keep you around. So Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, you know what's funny is that the short clip that I saw
Mhm.
of, the SNL skit, she was obviously doing it over the top, but it wasn't that much different than what
she does at a rally, yeah.
Yeah.
No, horrible on SNL, horrible on 30 Rock.
You did not like 30 Rock either?
No.
You did not appreciate the great writing on 30 Rock?
No. She's horrible.
Well, who you like the Two Broke Girls then? Is that what you like?
No, that's even worse. I actually watched an episode of that the other night, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, just because it was on. I was too lazy to get up, get the remote. Horrible. Like, half these shows, we could do a better show. We should start writing a TV skit.
Well, that's the whole thing. My wife, and other than her calling and, interrupting the show, I don't talk about her very much. But one day I left Two Broke Girls on, and they're doing the jokes. It's basically set up, pervert joke. Set up, you're a jerk. It's very formulaic. And my wife is watching Two Broke Girls, and she's like, my brain cells are dying. You have to turn the channel. I mean, she was like mad at me. She's like, why are you leaving this on?
Yeah, it's bad. First of all, that show, those two chicks would never be bro. Look at them two chicks. Really? Like they couldn't find a man with money. Come on.
So, do you watch either show, 30 Rock or Two Broke Girls?
I've seen like both of them maybe a couple times, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, but not enough to
Well,
really comment.
Then what's a good since you are so angry with us that we like Tina Fey? What female comedian do you like?
Oh, what's her name? That new broad, that blonde haired broad.
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, she's funny. I like.
See, I don't like her because she made that movie with LeBron.
So who's that one with Save Silverman? Was she in that movie?
Mila Kunis.
No.
Yeah, Mila Kunis was in.
Yeah,
Sarah,
she was.
Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, Sarah Silverman.
Oh, Sarah
Not
Silverman.
saving. That's what I meant. Yeah,
Okay.
I like her. She's funny. There's a couple
Sarah
good
Silverman's
ones.
funny.
That other one that does the roasts. I can't remember her name. She used to be really heavy, then she lost a lot of weight. Her jokes is dating black guys.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Lisa Lampanelli.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah, she is funny.
Them three are like 10 times funnier than whatever.
Tina Fey?
Yeah, that
Well, I am the head of the Tina Fey fan club, so you're in
you
trouble.
suck.
Okay, well, we were
You
talking
really
about.
like Tina Fey?
Yes, I like Tina Fey.
Okay. Everyone
Yes.
has their likes and dislikes.
But what we were talking about before Tina Fey is the Iowa primary. Do you care who wins the Republican primary?
No, I hate all the candidates. Republican, Democrat.
You don't have any prediction who's
No.
going to win the primary.
The dickhead? What's his name? Donald Trump.
Yeah, dickhead Trump. Yes.
Sorry for
Okay,
the language.
that's fine. So you think Donald Trump is going to win the Iowa primary?
Yeah.
And do you have a reason about like the mentality of the people in Iowa or anything?
Yeah. It's just. I don't know.
Yeah, you might not want to say anything. What if
Yeah.
we actually become popular and then they come back and look at webcast 14?
Yeah.
They won't want to listen to us.
I don't know.
Let me
see
tell.
all them people from Iowa. Was it in Iowa?
Yeah, it's in Iowa.
Yeah, I see them voting for Trump. He's gonna build that wall.
Okay, so
Keep all the Mexicans out.
So basically,
He's a
the
real
Iowa.
American. He's gonna bring this country back what it should be. Yeah.
So you think Trump is going to win by a lot because of the wall?
Because of the wall.
Because of the Mexican wall. I'm writing this
The
down.
Mexican wall.
Yes. Now, just so you know, I'm not any deeper than you. I'm just as shallow. I like Iowa because they spawned Slipknot. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for Iowa, there would be no Slipknot. Okay, and I've read stories about the guys from Slipknot. They're like, well, there was nothing to do except for start a band, and then when we were in our band, there was nothing to do but to have a second band. And because all the guys at Slipknot, the reason they wore their masks is because they were in other bands.
Yeah.
And so any state that produces Slipknot is a pretty awesome state.
Yeah, but you gotta look at the majority of the people that live in that state, though. Not all of them are like those guys from Slipknot. They're probably a rare breed that lives in that state.
You're
right or no?
No, you're right. But you ever see the I'm trying to get it. What's the Slipknot video where they trash the house?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Take
I
my
can't
fingers
remember
into my eyes. It's the only
I don't know what
thing
you're
that
talking about. I
slowly
can't
stops.
remember the name.
Okay, well, the point is that they trashed a house in Iowa, right? All those Iowa kids, they look like they're having fun in Iowa.
Yeah.
Ted's rolling his eyes at me. We're going to come back to rock and roll later on, trust me.
No, I was reading the paper.
Oh,
You
fair
don't like
enough.
Slipknot?
No, I'm not even sure who they are.
It's a good band.
Ted, you are hurting me now. Because Slipknot, when I was living in Minnesota, again,
They're from Iowa?
yeah, I was in Mankato, which is an hour away from Iowa. And I'm like, there's this great new band from Iowa. And everybody's like, oh, Iowa sucks. I'm like, no, they're called Slipknot, Wait and Bleed. And they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And they're like, they're from Iowa, where are they going to go?
Mhm.
But then they became the, biggest band ever.
Yeah.
So I love Slipknot.
I remember when I had Sirius Radio. I think it was Sirius Radio. No, Howard Stern might have been on regular radio. They snuck in during ICP's. ICP was supposed to show up, and somehow Slipknot showed up too, and they allowed Slipknot in with ICP.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I heard of Slipknot, like before like their album even came out or anything.
Yeah.
And like they were playing tracks as Howard liked them, so so much because they were wearing the mask. And they were telling the story of how they began their band and how Iowa sucked and there was nothing, like you said, nothing to do.
Yeah.
And then they played their song on Howard. I'm like, man, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, Slipknot's awesome.
See, I don't know. Who
Do you at
they
least know who Mushroomhead is?
No.
Okay. Mushroomhead is an industrial band from Cleveland, and they're like a version of Slipknot. Well,
Right, not as
Mushroomhead,
good.
if they were here, they'd be like, "Oh no, we were first, and Slipknot stole our thing." And Slipknot's like, "No, we didn't steal from anybody." But because they're from Cleveland, I love Mushroomhead too.
But Mushroomhead sucks and Slipknot's 10 times better.
You
I don't like Mushroomhead.
don't like any Mushroomhead.
No.
I can't believe that you don't like Mushroomhead.
No. Sorry.
Are they related to Buckethead?
Buckethead's looking for a job because Guns N' Roses supposedly reuniting.
Yeah, right. We'll see if that happens.
Oh no, there's too much money for them not to reunite.
There's too much money left on the table last time, and look what he did.
No, they're. Do you want to make another prediction? They're going to reunite.
It's not going to last long.
Oh, I know it won't
I bet
last
it'll
long.
last like 3 weeks. Slash,
Oh,
Slash will probably end up like beating him with his guitar or something.
Don't get me wrong. I agree with you 110%. But they'll get back together. They'll sign the $500 million contract, and then, like you said, 3 weeks later, they'll break apart, and then all the lawyers will be there like hungry dogs, like, oh, we're gonna eat some meat tonight.
Yep.
Oh, and me and you are on the same page with Guns N' Roses. Those guys, they see the gravy train coming.
Yeah. I don't even know why anybody would sign him. They're done, all right? They're done.
Oh, Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, why would you want to sign them?
They're
Who
horrible.
would want to sign them to get them back together?
Because you know why you sign them to get back together? Why America is where it's at? Because they can turn around and charge people $150, and then all these people are like, I want to pay $150 to feel like I'm 19 again.
Yeah.
What else am I going to spend my money on?
I'd charge them $200. They're stupid enough to go to a Guns N' Roses concert.
I
Especially
would
like
not.
30 years later.
At this point, I would not go to Guns N' Roses because it would just bum the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Now, did you ask Joe if he thinks Trump will appear at the debate?
Yeah. I forgot the second part of the prediction.
Oh, he's showing up.
Do you think he's going to show up at the
he's
debate
gonna
tonight?
show up.
Okay, well,
He's
see,
gonna show
it's a
up.
good thing we asked. Joe says he will show up. Says
He likes
he
running his
will
mouth, but
show
he'll
up.
show up. He'll be there.
Show up at debate. See, I don't think he will. I think he likes himself too much. I don't think he wants to share.
Oh,
I
maybe
honestly
that.
don't think he wants to share the stage.
Yeah.
So that was our first thing we were talking about. So you missed a lot of talk about the
That's
Iowa
tonight?
primaries. Next,
Well, the primaries are next Monday.
yeah,
but there's
the
a debate
is tonight.
Yeah.
The primaries next week. So by the time we do Beacon of Speech again, we'll have answers to those two things.
Cool.
And then I'm going to write Iowa on here.
I hate Trump.
Oh, I do too. You hate Trump. I hate Trump. Do you hate Trump?
Yeah, I'm kind of. I liked him at first, but I'm kind of
Lukewarm.
growing tired. of
You're
him.
growing tired.
Guy
of it.
who bankrupted did bankruptcy like 8 times on like all of his different companies. He's gonna run America.
Well, that's
Like, he
all-
knows how it is, how to make a paycheck. His dad was like a multi-billionaire.
Well, that's another
Trump
thing.
knows how it's like living hard.
We live in Cleveland, and if you are an owner in the NFL, it's basically a license to print money, right?
Yeah.
Art Modell was so stupid that he almost bankrupted the Cleveland Browns. He had
Yeah.
to move them to Baltimore to make money. That's how stupid he was.
Yeah.
Okay? Using that analogy, I've heard people on the radio say, okay, having a casino is a license to print money. Well, they closed the Trump casino in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
How do you close something that's a license to print money? All it is a machine. All you have to do is service the machine and get people in the door and
Yeah.
gamble.
Well, you see Atlantic City lately?
Well,
Who would want to go there?
well, but that's true. But you should be able to do something.
You know what they should have did? They should have did what do you call it? What you're allowed to do in Vegas? Bet on games,
Oh yeah,
bookie or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
they
called.
you're right.
They should pass that and do that.
The gaming commission or
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever
Yeah.
it's called.
Yeah, they should. I mean, there's ways to make it happen. I just, nobody
No, but
closes
how do you
casinos.
how do you lose your casino?
Yeah, there's casinos in like North Dakota in the middle of the not in the middle of the desert, but in the middle of nowhere that somehow can attract people to the middle of nowhere in North Dakota.
Yeah, and you're
But
in
you
Atlantic
can't
City.
get them to get to Atlantic City.
And how close are you to New York City? And you can't get people to your fucking. You can't get people to your casino.
Right. And, yeah, and that's my whole point.
You
I'm
got,
like,
you got New York, you got Boston, you got whatever, Massachusetts, you got New Jersey.
Yeah.
You got all those cities there. You
I
can't-
remember before Ohio had casinos, they used to have bus trips to Detroit all the time. You know, free
Yeah.
bus trip to Detroit. We'll bus them in.
Oh,
How come-
$100 round bus trip. You get $20, $30 free slot, free food.
Yeah. If Trump was a genius, why doesn't he just, hey, hop on the bus in Queens and I'll take you to Trump Casino. We'll bus you right there and bus you back.
Hey, $200 airfare. You get a free 2-night stay at my hotel and
Oh, yeah.
$50 voucher to the casino.
Yeah.
This Trump sucks.
Well, aren't you glad that me and Joe agree on something?
Like
Trump sucks,
like
but we
any
do
of the
not agree.
candidates. You guys like any of the candidates?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
What about you?
From what I know of him, I kind of like Ted Cruz.
Yeah, Ted Cruz.
I'm going to vote for the Libertarian, Gary Johnson, and the rest of them all suck balls.
I
All they
wanted-
are pieces of machine.
I wanted to vote. I can't remember the guy's name.
Bernie Sanders.
No,
He
they,
ain't voting for Bernie Sanders.
they
I can
kicked
tell
him
you
down.
that right now.
They kicked him down to the lower division.
The
and he got
lower
mad,
echelon.
and he dropped out. I think.
Wasn't Rand Paul? Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh,
Rand
okay.
Paul.
Rand Paul's not out. He's still in.
Well, yeah, come on.
Hey, just because he's polling at 2% don't mean that...
Yeah. Doesn't mean he's gonna make a comeback somehow. Yeah. You want to bet on that? How much money you got?
yeah, I ain't betting making a comeback. One day he'll make a comeback, not this time around. Maybe next time around.
Just like his dad, huh?
Yeah, don't get me started. I really thought his dad was going to turn it around, too. He
Yeah.
never did.
I voted for him.
Did you really?
His dad, yeah.
Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Or,
I had the Ron Paul sticker.
Cool.
Yeah, great, isn't it?
remember Joey G liked him?
Oh my God, did he really?
We had a guy who worked here, his name, not Joe, who's on our webcast with us, but Joey G, and he was an old delusional man. He started to have Alzheimer's like at 38, so when we were working at him at 60, he was incorrigible.
Everything was like a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I woke up this morning and I drove here and traffic was blocked. I think it was a conspiracy theory to make me late for work.
The
That guy.
government is blocking up highways so you use more gas, so
Yeah.
the oil companies make more money.
The oil companies made 3 cents more on me because I took that detour this morning.
Everyone's stuck in traffic. You know how much fuel that's wasting right there?
Yeah, that guy was a piece of work.
Yeah.
I always said that if I won the lottery, I would like buy a helicopter, a black helicopter to fly over his house every day.
Fly over his house like a couple hours a day.
That's awesome.
Like, just hover real low for like a minute by his backyard.
Then as soon as he comes out, you fly away.
And pay a guy to sit in the back with like binoculars and make sure Joey G sees him staring out. So what else is going on?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you a quick story about sports, and then I want to go back into music since we're talking about Mushroom Head and Slipknot.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil's here.
Neil!
Oh, are you doing lottery?
Hey.
Are you here to do lottery?
Yeah, I got a kick in my buck.
I really stopped playing.
I thought so, because I'm looking at the envelope, like, what's
Nobody
in that?
plays anymore.
Do you want
want
to
me
bet
to
on
play for
us?
Yeah.
I'll play. What's tonight, everybody?
Today is
Today's
the
Thursday.
Well, I'll play Friday.
26th, 7th.
Come on.
I'll play $2 on Friday.
It says here Thursday the 28th is today.
All right, tomorrow I'll play $2 for me, you know.
Okay, and if you win, are you gonna buy a stake in our endeavor here?
I probably will.
Yay!
I'll have money to burn.
And then he'll be the president.
Yeah.
Neil will be the president. We'll all be working
I
for
can be like the
Neil.
silent partner.
You could be give us some cash flow to buy a studio.
Yeah. Oh, I was delusional yesterday because when I was out doing my running around.
He is obese.
What?
You were obese.
Look at you, pop belly, man.
I know.
You're beginning to look like me.
I was itching my back because it was scratchy. But yeah, well, I stuck it
Looks
out
like
my
you,
gut.
you,
can
don't,
see
you don't
my-
drink beer, do you?
No, I
You
don't
got a
drink
beer gut.
No, you know what? It's not a beer gut. It's a Coke gut because I
Yeah.
drink so much pop,
So much sugar, man.
a ton of pop. I'm officially addicted now.
Lay off that crap,
Do you
man.
drink a
Drink
lot of
some
soda?
water.
Oh,
I
a
see
ton.
The Polar Pops.
Polar Pops every day.
Mm.
Every day. So if you want to get fat like me, drink Polar Pop. That's your ad.
I don't drink a lot of pop, so I just eat too much.
Yours is just food.
My doctor says I gotta sew my mouth shut.
And he didn't say sew your mouth shut for another reason. He
no,
wasn't.
he said you gotta stop eating. I was like, well, I can't, doc. He's like, well, just sew your mouth shut.
That's because your wife is such a good cook.
Yeah.
right.
Right, good one.
So,
See you later,
see you later,
See
Neil.
you.
Have a good
Bye.
one. So, our sports teams, Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, that's what, hockey?
Yes, that's
Tennis?
hockey. They're still in last place. They're still doing horrible.
Yeah.
Okay? And something funny happened to him this week. I didn't catch the whole details, but one of the defensemen in practice, they were practicing for an outdoor game,
Yeah.
and he accidentally skated into the coach, and I was unclear whether the coach broke his rib or if he
man.
broke his leg. But he definitely had broken bones. So I want to tell you, not only is our team sucking, but they're snake bit. You know how he told you our Russian team was snake bit? Well, our American team is snake bit too. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to let you guys pick the teams next year because I couldn't believe that the Columbus Blue Jackets
I
coach
didn't pick
broke
this
bones. No, I did. I was picking teams. That's why I said next time we're going to have to let you guys pick the teams.
Yeah, you suck.
Because how many times can you say they're in last place? It's like Columbus is like they win 2 games in a row and they're like, oh, we might climb out of last.
Didn't they do good like last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, they did. They were like the 8th seed in the playoffs. Hey, Joe. There's another Joe. Real quick, are you sure you don't want to stand there and just stare at us like Gary did to us last week?
No, that's okay.
Okay. He was staring at us like, what are you guys doing? But he wouldn't talk. And then I'm talking to you guys, but he's where you're at. And he's staring at me. And I'm like trying to look at you two. And he's staring at me. And I'm like, well, that's a computer. And these are headphones. And this is a webcast. And we're live. And he's still staring like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I
There's
wonder
something.
what he was doing because I had my back to him. And he was just like standing behind me. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think he was fantasizing
Should have
about
told
you.
him to take a picture.
You know what? Maybe we could hire his son to be the director of. He could be director of our sports department.
That
He
sounds
can
good.
run the Columbus Blue Jacket stories
You
by
could,
us.
you could talk to him tomorrow about it.
Yeah, I'll be sure. I'll talk to him as soon as I see him.
So you know Brook Park, right?
Yeah.
You know Brook Park Memorial then, right? EPM?
Yeah.
The elementary school. You know why it's a memorial?
Why?
Do you know that there was a school crash, a bus crash in, I don't even know when it was, 19-something?
30?
1930 something? And it
No, I
killed
didn't.
like there was 10 people on the bus. It killed 9 out of the 10, including the driver, and 1 kid lived.
Holy cow! No, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
1930. I didn't know that either.
I didn't even know they had buses in 1930.
Yeah, 1930, right at Sheldon Road.
Oh. Well, see, now I'm sad. Thank you for bringing the show down.
Sheldon Road, the one right by Fasico, you know those railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Right there, those ones. I guess some train smashed right into it.
That, you know what? There could have been a girl on that bus that could have given birth to your future wife, and now you got a different wife.
Oh no, that would be...
Two
she'd be-
generations.
She'd
Yeah.
be really old.
So grandmother.
Yeah.
It could have killed a grandmother that would have had your
My mother-in-law?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe.
That's so sad.
No, too bad we didn't have time machine. We go back and save that bus.
Yeah. Or you know what? It could have been American Hitler could have been on that bus. So maybe that accident saved
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
Hitler from coming to power. Too.
Yeah, that's true.
See, Ted's shaking his head. I can tell that you are done with the American Hitler story and you're done with the Columbus Blue Jackets story. David Bowie died last week. We started talking about David Bowie. People continue to say how great David Bowie is. I was reading about Trent Reznor, how David Bowie changed his life. There's going to be more albums coming out. Supposedly there's a treasure
Well,
trove of
Now,
albums coming.
have the kind words about Glenn Fry stopped? Then,
Yeah.
or-
Yeah.
Okay.
They are not still coming in because part of the reason it's in the news is because a lot of musicians are like, we love David Bowie. David Bowie was nice. We shared a stage with David Bowie. A lot of the reason that David Bowie is still in the news is a lot of famous people are talking about what an influence he was. Well, Glenn Fry at the end of the day was all about how much money could the Eagles make. He didn't care about mentoring young. There's a couple
Yeah, that's not unusual. Somebody who just wants to make as much money.
So
as
a couple of country bands have come out and said, well, if it wasn't for the Eagles, we wouldn't be here. but they never said, well, Glenn Fry mentored me,
Yeah.
or Glenn Fry was an inspiration. They said, we love the Eagles.
Yeah.
So the Glenn Fry stuff has already petered out. You know what I mean? Because he was a guy who's like, I made my money and, you know.
Was he part of the Eagles?
Yes, he was the one who was part of the Eagles.
Both of them?
It's funny. No, Glenn Fry was half of the Eagles. The other half was Don Henley.
What about Dave? Who was what's his face? What band was he in?
Who, David Bowie?
Yeah.
David Bowie is in the David Bowie band.
Okay. I don't know too much. Of David
You don't know
Bowie.
you know who David Bowie is.
I know of him. I couldn't tell you one song.
If
that
I
he
had a radio,
Well,
if I
yeah,
had
I
a
could probably
radio,
know
you
the
would
song.
recognize
I
at
wouldn't
least
say-
20 songs by David
Yeah,
Bowie.
but I wouldn't know that was David Bowie though. I'd be like, yeah, I know that song, but I don't know who sings
See,
it.
that's how and me and Ted have talked about this. That's how I feel about Todd Rundgren. I don't know one song by Todd Rundgren, but if you played them, I'd be like, oh, that's Todd Rundgren. There's at least 20 of them.
Yeah.
So that's your David Bowie. You know that David Bowie has songs, but
Yeah.
you couldn't name one for me.
Yeah,
But if we played it, you'd be like, oh, I know that song.
I know that song, but who sings it? I
Right.
wouldn't know it would be Dave Bowie.
Dave Bowie.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Make fun of me. That's
No,
cool.
well, but that's where I'm
Come over
going
there
with
and
it.
Strangle you
So-
with that cord.
All these artists are saying, how David Bowie is great, and every day I still keep reading about David Bowie. And like I said, I like David Bowie, but now it's getting to the point of, they said that they wanted. Did you guys read it? I'm trying to see how to put it. According to math, there's a new planet beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, but somewhere in the Kuiper Belt, and they named it Planet X. Have you guys heard about Planet X?
Isn't that a while ago they found that?
No, there is no Planet X. Planet X, according to advanced calculus and physics, it exists. But nobody has ever seen Planet X, and the whole theory is because the objects in the Kuiper Belt move a certain way, there has to be a big giant planet that we're missing, and they named it Planet X. Well, because they've never seen it, well, with all the telescopes and advanced telescopes and, you know, all the observatories around the world, I find it hard to believe they can't see Planet X.
Dude, you know how far that is? They can barely see Pluto. You see the special on that satellite they're sending out to Pluto?
Yeah.
To take all those pictures?
Yep.
They said they gotta do it soon because Pluto's like eventually it's moving its way out.
Yeah, it's
Working
wandering
its way
out
further,
towards the Kuiper
further,
Belt, right?
further.
Yeah.
So they said this is their best chance of doing it. It's gonna take like 5 years for that thing to get out there or something. They said.
Yep.
It's far away, man.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong, it is. But by now you think that this Planet X, they said that it's there because of math, that they figured it out. Well, how does math say that there's a planet out there? And not a Pluto-sized planet. They said the math says that this planet is 10 times bigger than Earth. It's about the size of Neptune.
Yeah.
And they wanted, yeah, I could tell, it's like science class for Joe.
No,
Joe's
I'm talking about, space.
But the point of my story is that this came out last week, and we didn't talk about Planet X. Did we talk about it on the webcast?
I don't think so.
So we're talking about Planet X now, but there's now a movement to name Planet X Bowie. You know, because he did Space Oddity, he was the original spaceman, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I would name Planet X Bowie. I don't know. I mean, that's nice, but
Yeah.
I don't think people in Russia care about David Bowie, do. Maybe they do.
we should name it Trump.
If Trump was president,
Trump would support that.
if Trump was president, I guarantee you he would say, well, I'm the president right now, and I support naming the Planet X Trump. You can't name it Planet X. You gotta, even if you named it Planet T and there's a big giant T, that would be fine with me. But so, yeah, so
Put a horrible toupee on it.
would you name, and I'll ask this to Ted because I already know how you feel about David Bowie. Would you name Planet X Bowie?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. And not that he's
that
not
he
a
doesn't
good
deserve it,
musician.
He
Yeah.
doesn't deserve. Why would he deserve it?
Well, because he did that album in 1973.
Who gives a shit?
Well, but that's the point.
Why
At
not,
the end
why
of the
not
day-
Planet Fry? He died too.
Well, that's true. But did he change the way people thought about space?
No.
Did he change the way people thought about taking it easy? Well, no, I don't mean to pick on Glenn Fry because I know a lot of people like the Eagles, and I keep
Yeah.
saying taking it easy. I know they had like 20 hits,
Yeah.
but I always thought number one, Don Henley had more talent. Okay, and number two, I just don't like the Eagles. So, do you know who Don Henley is?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, but you're probably from Moss.
No, I heard of him before.
Oh, okay. He's a solo artist. He had some hits.
Yeah.
Are we picking on you too much about the
No,
Eagles?
that's fine.
Okay.
I know the other dude that was in the Eagles too, the guitar dude.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah, Joe Walsh.
Yeah, because he was in the James Gang, and they were from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Did you see the James Gang when
No.
you were a kid? Did your
No.
dad take you?
No, my parents weren't big music. They weren't big music fans.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't listen to a lot of music when I was around.
They just beat you a lot?
No, my parents were.
No,
good.
I'm just
They
teasing.
didn't beat me. That's not cool.
I'm sorry.
No, they didn't. They weren't into music a lot. They were not too much into sports.
Okay.
So
Oh no, that's not because when I was a kid, my mom loved the Beatles and my dad loved the Beach Boys.
yeah.
Well, I
my
take that
mom
back.
loved Elvis. She used to watch Elvis all the time.
Okay.
That freaking guy. Those movies. Oh my god, horrible.
Oh yeah.
They were all horrible. But I take that back. My mom loved the Beatles. My dad liked the Beach Boys. He didn't love them. He liked them. What about you, Ted? What about your parents? What did they like?
Let's
Joe's
see.
parents liked Elvis.
I know, like my dad. I think he liked Johnny Cash.
Okay.
Trying to think who else. He actually liked John Denver.
Oh, I'm glad that plane crashed. And Joe, do you know who John Denver is?
Yeah,
He crashed the plane. Yeah,
died in that
yeah.
plane crash.
He sang Rocky Mountain High and a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
So anyhow, back to David Bowie. Neither one of us, we both like David Bowie. Shouldn't name the planet after him. Another news story came out on Rolling Stone just today. And you remember how we were making fun of Coldplay? Because
Oh my god.
Coldplay wanted to collaborate with David Bowie, right? And David Bowie says, no, your music's not any good.
Oh my god.
And he turned them down.
Oh
Right?
wow.
Yeah, so he turned down Coldplay.
So I assume they're one group that is not doing a David Bowie.
Actually, they said that they understood that he didn't like their style, but they were still fans of them,
Wow.
right? And then we talked about the Nine Inch Nails collaboration. Trent Reznor came out and said basically his dream came true because he got to work with his hero. That was another story. But the story today was after the Coldplay story. They said not only did he turn down Coldplay, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they wanted... Do you ever hear Stadium Arcadium, their album?
Maybe.
It was one of their last big albums.
What, the Chili Peppers?
Yeah, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And they said they loved David Bowie, and they asked him to produce their record. And he said no. He said, no, but thanks for thinking of me. And
See, now I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I love the Red Hot Chili. Well, let me rephrase that. I used to love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So,
Yeah, we paid so much money, you didn't want to do it.
well, but that's the whole thing. David Bowie was still doing things. He just picked the projects that he wanted, and he didn't want to do it. But the Red Hot Chili Peppers even came out. They said, they told us no, or David Bowie told us no. We still loved him. We
Yeah,
still loved
yeah.
him. We'd ask him again. We asked him for the next album, and he said no. We still love you. Come to our album. They asked, who's Brian Eno? Ted. He's a famous guy, right?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I'm...
They said that the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the same article said they asked him 8 different times to produce their album, and he kept saying no. And
You know, it's
so,
funny you say Brian Eno, and I think of Emo Phillips.
no, that's a different guy. But yeah, so the Red Hot Chili Peppers are the next ones. So Coldplay came out, and Chili Peppers said, oh yeah, we approached David Bowie multiple times to do collaborations, to produce our albums. He kept saying, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. So I was surprised.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No, never seen them.
But you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Yeah.
twice. Did you see them?
No.
Do you want to hear my quick Chili Pepper story?
Did you
Yeah.
run into them? Did you meet them?
No, they didn't like me.
Did you party with him?
No, I did not party with them.
So how do you know if they didn't like you?
Because I could tell. Okay.
Did you do heroin with him?
No, that's why they didn't like me, because if I would have had heroin, they would like me. Back in, and again, I'm not trying to be elitist or anything. Back in 1989, I was in college, right? And I got the Mother's Milk album, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go see them in concert, and they were promoting Mother's Milk,
Yeah.
right? And they were horrible. They fought on stage. They were yelling at each other. They would stop in the middle of songs. The drummer, he had a Michigan hat, right?
Yeah.
And he would hold it out. And we're in Cleveland, Ohio. He'd hold it out to the crowd. He's like, "Yeah, Michigan rules. Ohio State sucks," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it went really bad, and it was right after their guitarist had died of heroin,
Yeah.
right? But at that time, I loved the Chili Peppers like they loved David Bowie. Like, I don't care if they hate me, and I don't care that they argued and said Ohio sucks. I still love the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And then I loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers, all their punk stuff. And then as soon as Under the Bridge came out, I was like, I am done with the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I don't know that album.
Not Under the Bridge, the album. Under the Bridge, the song.
I don't know that song.
It was their biggest hit. You can't where Flea is standing on the rock and he's playing the guitar, and he's talking about being a heroin addict in Los Angeles.
No.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a.
Oh, yeah, that song.
Yeah, that crappy
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
As soon as that song
Yeah,
came
it's
out, I was
horrible.
done with the Chili Peppers.
Yeah, maybe that's why I don't remember it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it was bad.
And after that, I would listen to some of their hits, and I'm like, oh, Chili Peppers aren't that bad. But like in one big giant moment, I'm like, I am done with the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like some of their stuff after Under the Bridge. It was just after Under the Bridge, I did not love them anymore.
You know
And-
what my first concert was?
What was your first concert?
Slipknot.
Was it really?
God,
How old were you when you saw Slipknot?
I don't know, maybe 17, 18?
Really?
Yeah.
Did you sing into the microphone, or were you in the front
No.
row with all the maggots?
No.
That's what they call all their fans, are maggots,
They were
right?
touring with Mudvayne.
Oh, Mudvayne.
I met Mudvayne. They came out in the crowd. This was when they were nobody.
Were they nice?
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
Now, what about you? What was your first concert?
I think Red Hot Chili Peppers was my second concert. I think my first concert was Headbangers Ball. I went to see Anthrax, because I used to love Red Hot Chili Peppers and Anthrax. And the Headbanger, you'd have to look and see which one was first, but they were close. But the Headbangers Ball, the headliner was Anthrax. They were awesome, like 10 out of 10. They were on top of their game. They didn't fire half their members. They were great. Middle band was Halloween, one of the worst bands I ever saw. The lead singer was drunk and he laid on the stage
That's
and,
awesome.
and mumbled into the microphone. Halloween was horrible. And then Exodus, they were pretty good. I wasn't familiar with Exodus, but they're Exodus is kind of. Do you know Exodus?
Yeah.
Oh, you know Exodus.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see Exodus?
No.
They're like a Metallica light.
Yeah.
So I got no problem with them.
Yeah.
You don't know Exodus. You're making fun of me now. You don't know Exodus. You know
Yeah,
San
let me go
Francisco
for
the thrash band. Okay. Okay. What was your first band then, or your first concert?
Van Halen.
Van Halen. Who's opening for Van Halen?
Oh wow. Wow, I don't remember.
But when you saw Van Halen, so it was your first concert.
Yeah,
so
it was.
it's got to be about.
It was Van Hagar.
Oh,
Yeah, it was the first.
that's what I was gonna ask.
right after Sammy joined.
Okay, but
Yeah.
was it good? Because they were still on top of their game right when Sammy joined.
Yeah, it was good. You know, loud as hell.
Were you upset that you missed David Lee Roth?
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to see David Lee Roth.
But the rest of them were on their game. They weren't laying.
Oh, yeah.
They
No,
weren't
they
laying
were.
there, playing their guitar.
No, they were. Yeah. I mean, they were talking about how much they partied the night before.
That's always nice when you're in the audience and they're telling you how much they partied.
Yeah,
How much they're hungover.
yeah. But yeah, I can't remember who opened for him.
That's horrible.
You know, it might have been like I don't know. Is it possible it was Bachman Turner Overdrive?
Yeah, It's possible. We can, you know what? We can look that up later. But when I saw the Chili Peppers in 1989, okay, it was a Mother's Milk tour. Their opening band was the Young Fresh Fellows because I went out and I bought their tape because I liked them so much.
The Young Frankensteins.
And I couldn't get over how nice they were. They came out in the audience, like you were talking about Mudvayne, right?
Yeah.
The Young Fresh Fellows, when they were done with their set, they were coming out and talking to people, and they're like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Wow, bands do that? Bands did they talk to their fans?" I'm like, I never.
We never did that.
Your band, Wasted Space, never.
There was never anybody in the audience.
Nobody to go out and talk to.
Yeah.
In case this is your first
Just the
episode,
bartender?
Yeah, talking to empty chairs.
in case this is your first episode, Ted was the lead singer of a band called Wasted Space, and you guys did about half originals, half covers, right?
No, mostly covers.
Mostly covers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the whole thing. I was like so stunned because you watch on TV, you see the stadium tours. You would never know that they would come out and talk. And I always thought the Young Fresh Fellows were. I'm like, they're the nicest band ever. I didn't know that a lot of bands had done that. I just didn't know that. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers definitely did not do that.
Yeah.
And they basically, at the end, yelled at us that they were lucky that we were playing for them, or that they were playing for us. I said it backwards.
You guys were lucky that they were even there.
Yeah. I mean, they were not cool.
That's kind of shitty.
Well, but at the end, I'm like, I got to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't care what they say. They're awesome. So.
Now, was you said the guitarist had died? What was that, Hillel?
Hillel had overdosed on heroin.
So was it John Frusciante? Or?
John Frusciante, and the problem is that at the time, Chad Smith, Anthony Kiedis, and Flea were all about 27, more or less.
Yeah.
And John Frusciante was like 19, 20.
Yeah.
So during the concert, they'd be playing their parts from their first albums, and then they'd be like, "John, you missed the D chord." You know what I mean? And it would be literally stuff from
Really?
Wasted Space. They'd be screaming at them,
Yeah.
and they would yell at the guitar tech to come out. The guitar tech's coming out, and they're literally screaming at John Frusciante like he was a fan. I mean, I felt really bad for him at the end of the band, and then they, when
See,
they
that's the kind of stuff I like to see.
yeah, and
Like, we're in the middle of the stage, though?
oh yeah, when they were on stage, they were yelling at him.
I guess if he's fucking up that bad.
Well, that's the thing. I was unclear whether he was screwing up that bad because he was new, if he didn't know it, or if he was high. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was one of my first concerts I ever saw.
Yeah.
When Anthrax was out there, all 5 of them were on there. You're antisocial, and all 5 of them were playing at 100 miles an hour in the same direction, and they were on top of their game. I see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're beating John Frusciante like a dog, and he's like, "I'm trying, guys." You know what I mean? And I always felt really bad.
That's
for him.
bad.
And then, later they're like,
Otherwise, people started throwing stuff on stage.
well, that's the thing. It was getting kind of nasty.
Yeah, I would have started throwing shit on stage.
And so when John Frusciante went into his heroin addiction, I always felt really bad. I'm like, well, is he doing heroin because he likes heroin, or is
Because
he
of the
being, or
pressure.
is he, or is it
pushed him to it.
because the other 3 had pushed him into it?
Like, drove him crazy. And we're like, dude, I need something to settle myself down.
And I'm glad that we had money, but some things aren't. I always, one of these days I'd like to interview John Frusciante and say, well, listen, were you weak? Did they do it? He's not gonna. Now, like, what, 30 years later, 25 years later, he's like, those are my brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's how he felt back when he was 20.
I don't know. My brothers kind of treated me like that.
You were the John Frusciante.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
They wouldn't yell at me. We'd just get beat up all the time.
Yeah, because, like I said, I was so stunned when I saw that concert. Because I'm like, wow, this isn't like Anthrax at all.
I'm serious though. I read stories about bands where they talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, how come that never happens when I go to see
So they
this
get in a
stuff?
fist fight like right in the middle of the stage.
Yeah. I mean,
That would be cool, but that would suck. Because say if you paid like $50 to go see that band, and like the main actors sit up there beating each other up in the middle of the stage. I guess I would just jump on stage and start beating them up too, because they made me waste my money.
Well, yeah, that's the whole
you
thing.
see a bunch of fans jump up there too.
Because I remember, I'm writing some down so I don't forget. I remember when I went to go see Lollapalooza, but it must have been about 92, so it was only a couple years later,
Yeah.
right? Nobody was fighting. I mean, everybody at Lollapalooza seemed like they were on top of their game.
Yeah.
When I saw Soundgarden, I'm like, wow, Soundgarden. Wow, this new band Pearl Jam, they're on top. I never saw anything like that Red Hot Chili Peppers thing, because even the Halloween travesty that I saw, well, they were all high. They didn't care. None of them cared. I never saw them fight on stage. You know what I mean? And I've only seen maybe 20 concerts in my life, so I
Yeah.
can't say I have
Yeah.
a wide breadth of it. But to this day, I'm still kind of surprised by it. You could be like yelling at your audience. Like at one time, Flea yelled, "Shut up while we sort this out."
That's funny.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm like, okay.
We were at the Ozfest. We went to the Ozfest show, and Pantera, what's his face? He was screaming at the crowd, but to stop throwing sod up at the stage and stop trying to.
Phil Ansimo or whatever.
Yeah, stop trying to what do you call it? Tip over the what do you call it? The fucking the thing up front, the barricade, the what do you call it? The fence.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone's ramming towards the fence, trying to knock the fence off to get on stage, and then they were ripping up the sod, because you know how they have two parts at what's that place? Blossom.
Uh-huh.
They have the seats at the concert hall. Well, it was an outside concert venue. But up front, they had the seats at Blossom, right? And then in the back, they have all that grass.
Mhm.
Well, they just planted all this new sod. And they were having the orchestra there like the next weekend.
Uh-huh.
Well, Pantera comes on, and everyone's like trying to rip over the fence to get from the lawn into the seats, and then
Yep.
everyone from the seats is trying to rip the fence down to get onto the stage, and everyone's in the lawn and start chucking sod towards the stage. Then it's hitting everyone in the seats. So we turn around, we grab it with the side, we're throwing it back to the people at the lawn. A guy gets on, he's like, "Hey, if you guys don't stop all this crap, they're gonna make us stop right now." And everyone stopped for like a minute,
Yeah.
and then a minute goes by, and it was just a rampage. They knocked over the freaking cage. Everyone started running towards the stage. Everyone from the lawn knocked over that fence. They started running up. I'm like, it was a madhouse. They stopped. And
Yeah. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because when I went to Lollapalooza, Ministry was one of the last acts, and the same thing happened. They're tearing up, because it rained all day. They're tearing up the lawn. They're storming the barricades. They're throwing the grass. Ministry didn't care. They're up there. They're just banging them out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't give a hell. You know, I mean I don't think Ministry would have cared if we burned Blossom down. They were going to keep playing. I mean, they were on their game too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are fun shows.
Oh yeah, I just remember getting punched in the head because I tried to get from the lawn to the seats
Yeah.
when the barricade broke, and I was like the blood clot. You know, the cop was like, "Let's get that little guy and block him. We're gonna let those four big guys run by. We're gonna stop that little guy."
Let's stop that kid right there that's doing nothing.
Yeah. I remember getting hit in the head really hard. I'm like, "I want to Ministry."
Blossom was good back in the day to see shows because you could bring beer in and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
You could sneak it in because you could bring a cooler in. You could just fill the bottom with beer or whatever, liquor, and then you put ice on it and then you stick whatever on top of it, pop and water and stuff on top of that. Check it. They open it and be like, okay, you're good. So, yeah, that was fun times.
When you were done, were you glad that you saw Pantera though?
Yeah, it was a good show. There was a lot of good bands that year. I can't remember, but it was a good time.
You remember Pantera, but none of the other
Yeah.
bands? See, I remember when I went to Lollapalooza, I remember every band.
Dude, well, it doesn't help that I was smashed, passed out, drunk at the end of the night.
Well, that's because, like,
Like,
Lollapalooza...
literally, I don't know how I got home that night. I don't know who dropped me off.
Well, see, Joe, and I'm not trying to pick on you. You can make fun of me because I was a big nerd, okay?
Yeah.
I didn't drink. So I'm like, it's all about the music. And I went with my sister, and I think she went out with her drug friends.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm there stuck watching all the bands. So I'm like, oh, they even had Ice Cube, the
Yeah.
rapper. And I'm like, I listen to Ice Cube, even though I wasn't a fan.
Is that your sister from the movie?
Yes. I don't know if she was doing drugs. If my mom listens, I'm sure she was out passing out pamphlets for Bible study, is what was really going on.
Yeah, that's it. Did
I-
you tell you she met one of the band people there?
Oh my god! This is my closest claim to fame, right? We're at Lollapalooza, right? And the first band that played was a band called Lush. Okay, as we're walking in, okay, Lush is getting off stage and Pearl Jam is coming on stage. So me and my sister, we find our seats, right? And we're listening to Pearl Jam, and my sister's like bored, right? Because she was in the more heavier metal at the time. And so she left, right? So Pearl Jam finishes, Soundgarden comes on, right? Soundgarden finishes up.
I would have left too.
Jesus
That
and,
light up.
Jesus and Mary Chain came on, right? So I'm listening to Jesus and Mary Chain. They're all right, but, you know, they were what they were, right? So my sister runs up to me. She goes, Fred, come here. I'm like, what? She goes, there's a guy, and he keeps sliding down the mudslides in the lawn, and I don't know who it is, but I think he's famous. And I said, what do you mean you think he's famous? And she goes, well, I don't know. Everybody's slapping his hands. Is he like on MMS or NCX or something? Right? I said, I don't know. I don't know what those guys look like. I come over. He puts his arm around her. He's like, go, Jeanette, where did you go? Come on, let's go back up. And my mouth hits the ground. It's Eddie Vedder.
Oh
She
my
was
God.
going up and down, sliding down the lawn of Blossom with Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder wasn't doing any drugs. They're just sliding up and down the lawn like it's a giant mudslide. And she's like, Fred, come slide with me and Eddie Vedder. And she didn't even call him Eddie Vedder. She's like, me and Eddie are sliding. She did not know that he was the lead singer of Pearl Jam. She just thought he was a celebrity because people were slapping his hands.
That's funny.
And I'm sitting there, literally mouth agape. I'm like,
That's amazing.
yeah, it really is. And Eddie Vedder, as far as I know, I don't think he like took my sister backstage because after they got off the slide, you know, my sister came back with me and they didn't disappear anywhere together. You know, they were just
Yeah.
going up and down and, you know, good, clean fun.
Wow.
And the whole thing is, like, my sister at the time, you know, I was
What year was this, Steve?
91 or 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember because I was supposed to go with my girlfriend and my sister was very nice and went, right, with me because I didn't want to go by myself. I was supposed to go with my girlfriend. She broke up with me,
Yeah.
right? But then my sister wears, like, cutoff shorts and a bra to the concert, okay? So I'm sure Eddie Vedder noticed how nice looking she was, but I mean, he wasn't, like, he didn't take her backstage, to my knowledge, or anything.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're sliding, and I mean, I wish there was a video camera because I'm like, what?
Just imagine if they did hook up. She had his kid.
That would have
That's
been
what I was
awesome.
thinking too, but I didn't want to say.
You'd be the coolest nephew ever. Coolest nephew ever. Look, I should yell at my sister that she didn't hook up
Yeah.
with it. Usually you're like, oh, don't hook up with a rock star. I'm mad that she didn't hook up with Eddie Vedder. Well, I could have had a
I'll
cool
see
little
what that-
nephew.
yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Like, you know who my nephew is related to?
Yeah. Of all the rock stars my sister had to meet, she had to she had to go down the mudslide with one with morals. So,
Well, I don't think you ever told me that.
oh, I thought I told, because I've told that story a dozen times. I thought I told you that, you know, when we were doing the movie. So Ted and Joe both know her because she directed the movie, right? She was working the camera. Well, I shouldn't say directed. She was the cameraman for the whole movie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and like I said, he was nice, she was nice. They were all laughing. Excuse me,
times.
frolicking, good times.
That's cool.
So you didn't talk to him then, right?
Oh no, he just said hey, because she's like, oh, there's my brother. And he's like, hey, you know, he didn't know my name. You know, I'm sure he slapped. Eddie Vedder literally had to slap 1,000 hands at that Lollapalooza. Like, hey guy, hey gal, hey sport, hey pal. You know, kind of like our bosses on the other side of town. You know, but in Eddie Vedder's defense, like I said, he's mean. But he knew Jeanette's name. He's like, Jeanette, come on.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but on that happy note, we will dedicate our song of the day because we always have a song of the day. We'll do what should we have our song of the day? Should we do a nice song?
Nice song.
How about Black by Pearl Jam? Because it reminds me that I
Yeah.
could have had a nephew if Eddie Vedder didn't have morals. Black by Pearl Jam. Why couldn't he hook up with my sister? I could have been Eddie Vedder could have been my brother-in-law.
Yeah. What a brother-in-law that would be.
Yeah. So she's not depressed. I'm depressed. Why couldn't he be my brother-in-law? I'm the one singing in the corner. Why couldn't he be my brother-in-law instead of some pot smoking guy who looks
See,
like
that's why
Jesus?
we need to build a time machine.
Yeah. Damn it, Eddie! My sister's perfect for you.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine.
You know they made a part 2 of that. Did you watch it?
I didn't see that one, but I think our boss did.
Do you know what I seen at? I forgot what store I was at. What they made a part 2 of?
No.
Joe Dirt part 2.
Oh yeah,
Did you see that?
yeah. I saw that. David Spade had. I guess he had a script and he was shopping it around. And Crackle, I want to say, is the channel, and they wanted a presence on the like streaming formats, so they financed Joe Dirt 2. And then it was like, see it here at Crackle. I'm like, Joe Dirt 2, you gotta be
Joe,
kidding
did you
me.
watch it?
No, I just knew that it existed.
I didn't know. I just saw it in the store yesterday. It's like Joe Dirt. I'm like, oh, look at their Joe Dirt. And then behind it, there was a combo package. I'm like, why there's a combo? They only made one. I picked up, like, Joe Dirt 1, Joe Dirt 2. I'm like, they made a Joe Dirt part 2.
Let me
Oh, how crap do you think that movie is?
let me ask you a question. How bored do you have to be to watch Joe Dirt 2?
Pretty bored.
Like, well, should I do laundry or should I watch Joe Dirt 2? I'll probably laundry.
Well,
Should I mow the lawn or watch Joe Dirt? Well, I probably should mow the lawn.
let's make it a boring night. Let's watch Joe Dirt 2 and then
Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
Did you see the second?
No,
Hot
I
Tub
don't,
Time
even,
Machine?
I don't even know if I want to. Because the one was funny. I don't know if I want to be disappointed about part 2.
Oh, you'll be disappointed that number one, John Cusack didn't come back.
Yeah.
And they asked him, they said, why didn't you come back? He said, because I read the script.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably so horrible.
And then the reviews were just brutal.
Yeah. Oh, it looked awful. I seen, like, I think they had the previews. It came out in the movies, didn't it, for like a brief minute?
Who's that?
It came out in the movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
so.
Like
Because
Yeah,
a
it
it
brief
did.
didn't.
minute.
Yeah.
Because that's what I remember. Where I
Yeah,
seen
Joe
that.
Dirt 2 went straight to Crackle, I think
Yeah.
it is. But Hot Tub Time Machine 2 was in the theaters for a week.
Ugh, so bad. See, we can make a movie. Oh, we did make a movie.
Yeah, we did we made a movie that nobody watched.
We can make another movie.
Oh, trust me. If we ever make money, I'm making another movie. And Ted will tell you this. In the last 2 weeks, I've been really down on like we're ever going to make any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On anything. And so, like I said, it's coming to the point where we're gonna have to start. Hey, if you make the movie, we'll give you blood or something. We're gonna
Donate our blood.
yeah. So
Give you my right arm.
yeah. So because I've been sending it into a few places like, hey, check out our movie, check out the webcast, check out this, and usually I hear like crickets. And Ted's like, people don't even write back to you and say you suck. And I said, no, I don't hear nothing. And that's why I was so happy when we got that movie review. You know,
Yeah.
the one from Joe's nephew.
Yeah.
So
Well, we gotta start working on number 2.
yeah, but I'm gonna have to put more than $4,000 into the second one.
Oh, we could just throw in a couple $100 a piece.
A couple $100 a piece.
Yeah, I got a camcorder in my house.
You know what we could do? I know a guy. Okay, he's got 2 kids. We could sell one of the kids for
Yeah.
financing the second movie. You think that guy will be up for that?
It might be.
I don't think that guy's up for that. You know that guy who's going to be having twins? He's
Yeah.
going to end up like John Frusciante.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, I need to sell one of these kids for heroin. That's
Both
gonna.
of them.
That's a
Buy
year,
one, get one half off.
You know what? You're going to be in a year or 2. You're going to be on the heroin diet. You're going to be like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to
I
start
told
doing
my wife
heroin.
we should sell one.
We still got one, and then you guys would probably make more anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, we would have 2 already right there. We get rid of one. That's bad to say.
We're just teasing. Joe loves his whole family. He would never get rid of any of the children. It's all just shtick, right? Right, Ted?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to buy a baby,
Contact Joe.
contact Beacon of Sage at hotmail.com.
And we'll negotiate a price.
Or Gmail, not Hotmail. Gmail will negotiate a price. All right, on that happy note, do you guys want to promote anything? Watch Blasphemers the movie for free.com.
www.buyakid.com.
www.buyakid. Joe and his wife are both white. You will make a lot of money.
Oh, that's bad,
All
Fred.
right, I'm sorry. Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Ted, thank you very much. I'm Fred. Hopefully, at least somebody will write to me and reject me and say I suck. That'll be a step up from what we've been doing. Yeah, everybody have a great night.